Welcome to Life After Divorce Coaching. Today's episode is all about an essential skill, especially when navigating through divorce, and it's choosing your battles. And so if you're ready, let's get started with episode 174.
Hello.
Hello there, beautiful. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
So when our listeners hear this, Christmas and Hanukkah, I guess Hanukkah would
still be going
on,
yeah.
but Christmas will be over. I hope everybody had a joyous holiday.
And what would be coming up would be the big countdown to New Year's.
Yeah, I always like talking about how to look at divorce in the new year and, maybe relationships that aren't faring so well. So more of that
to come
in a few
in
weeks.
the next podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's true. A lot of people look at the new year as a new beginning and a refreshment or reinventing yourself or a rebirth. And that's a great time if you're going through a divorce to think that way.
Right. More of that later.
More of that later.
Let's talk about picking your battles.
All right.
I actually suggested this episode because I was in a mediation with one of our clients, and he was falling into I've got to win every battle kind of thing. And it's really important as you're navigating through the divorce process and working on settlement. We were in mediation that it's not about winning every single thing. It's about the bigger picture. So, there's no question that divorce can feel like an emotional battlefield for sure.
Yes.
But the key to surviving it is to understand that the fight isn't worth your energy, right? So let's dive into the why and the how so you can make smarter decisions during the most challenging transition time in your life, right? That's what we're here to do.
Yeah. I mean, you might find yourself arguing over just small things that at the moment may seem like they're big things. But if you look at the big picture, you think who gets, like, for an example, who gets the couch, who gets the microwave? I mean, these are things that are not worth your energy to spend a lot of time on, spend a lot of energy on.
Right. I mean, we call that the pots and pans.
Right. Okay.
And I can tell you that most of the time, at least in mediations, when I'm working with a client as a lawyer in the mediation process, we don't really get down to the personal items, personal property items, like the couch and the microwave or whatever example you want to use, the TVs and all that. We really don't talk much about that until the very end. Because why? Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
Because they're not worth much.
They're not worth much.
No. Used furniture, used electronics, used, TVs, all that stuff.
It's stuff.
Generally, in today's world, isn't worth much. In fact, we know because we've had to move several times, our parents recently. You can't even, give it away, right?
True.
A lot of it. I'm not talking, of course, about antiques or valuables like that, but we don't want to fight about who's going to get the couch, right?
Right, exactly.
And unfortunately, there's that emotional, your primitive brain, which we talk a lot about, right? So we have a prefrontal cortex brain, which is the thinking brain, and then we have our primitive brain, which is our survival brain. And I want to get you out of feeling bad, and I want to win.
Fight or flight.
All of that is very active in divorce. The primitive brain is very, very active.
Well, that's what you meant by an emotional battlefield.
Yes.
That most people go into the thinking that it's going to be a battle already in their heads, and that everything that comes up is a battle that they have to win.
Right, but I'm talking right now about the primitive brain, just trying to explain a little bit about that.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So the primitive brain, which is our childlike brain, we have both sides as humans, is that reactive, I gotta win, that type of brain, as we just said, and it's very, very active in divorce. So we need to calm our primitive brain. We need to tell our primitive brain to take a little time out and think about what we're doing and the battles that we're picking from our prefrontal thinking brain.
Right. I think it's all about when you talk about cost benefit,
Right.
you know, what is the benefit of this fight? What is it going to cost you? Is it worth it? And then analyzing it from that point of view is like, it's really not worth it. It's not something that I want to spend my energy on or spend my time on or consume my emotional well-being.
Right. But the problem that I think most people have, because we're human, is that we don't recognize when our primitive brain is taking over. So what I'm suggesting is slow down. Is this couch worth losing the deal over? Or even worth the energy of thinking about? He wants it, you want it, let him have it. Choose your battles. Because what we want to try to explain is when you're looking at what do I choose to fight about, you want to ask yourself certain questions. For example, we're going to talk a little later about this, but what does this mean to me in 5 years? Right?
Right.
So when you think of any issue that you were thinking about battling about, what does this mean to me in 5 years? Will this even be an issue? Will I even care about this couch in 5 years or the microwave? Probably not.
Right.
In fact, you're probably going to want to get rid of it. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the couch may remind you of your marriage. There's certain things that you want to just eliminate to have that fresh start, that new feeling.
right.
And just realize that it's not worth fighting over.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the question that we have for the listeners who are in the middle of negotiating their settlements is, you know, it's about what is important to you, and why are you choosing to fight or to argue, or maybe not to give up on a particular item, a particular issue? Is it because of emotions, or is it because it really is going to make your life better looking forward, right? So is it financially important to me? Does it have something to do with the children and the time sharing schedule or the shared custody arrangement? So, let me focus my energy there, because people will get very bogged down on things that don't matter. Think about the things that do. So we're not saying or suggesting that you should back away from, you know, every fight. Absolutely not. That's not what we're suggesting, right?
Right,
That's
right.
not what we're
No,
saying.
of course not.
We're saying be strategic about the things that you do fight for, right?
Yeah, is the fight going to bring you a certain type of peace, or is it going to give you some kind of a real change that you're looking for in the future that's going to benefit you?
Right.
You know, or is it just something that you just have to win?
Well, and I think there's a lot of that. You know, I know that I've spoken about this before, I believe, in various episodes in our podcast, but when I was a very young lawyer, seems like a million years ago, I remember being in court with this very wealthy client we represented who was in his 70s, and he was a Palm Beach resident, had many, many, many millions. You know, today probably it would be billions, right? But they were arguing over a chair. They literally had settled everything else, and they were arguing over a chair, him and his soon-to-be ex. We went to court. The court wanted to have a status conference. In other words, what's going on? Where are you with the case?
Update.
Are we going to trial? All the things, managing their calendar. And we told him, listen, we have settled everything except for this one piece of property. Now, granted, this was a very rare antique chair. Don't ask me, I don't know anything about antiques and I can't remember, but I know it was very rare, very exclusive, very expensive, and both of them wanted it.
Yeah.
And the judge demanded that we go outside and figure it out. He said, I am not going to have a trial over the chair. We have other people here. We have a large docket of people that have other issues more compelling than a chair, even if it is the most amazing chair in the world.
They probably don't even sit in it.
But I mean, no, but think about it from the court's perspective. They don't sit in it.
Or the attorneys.
No, but think about it from the court's perspective.
Okay.
Many judges are dealing with 1,000 cases, and they're dealing with a very serious issue. People that don't have any dollars, children that are in abusive situations that they have to figure out time sharing on. You know, women or men who financially are, you know, hurting and need relief in the form of support and things like this, and then you're dealing with a chair, okay? So what's important to you may not be as important to the court and to others, and so think of it from the perspective of that also.
Yeah.
So the judge told us to go outside, and now, legally, if we didn't settle the chair issue, which I'm happy to report we did.
Good.
If we didn't settle it, the court would have been required to have a hearing, a trial.
Wow.
Yeah, because
That's crazy.
we're entitled to due process and to have our case heard, right? But we settled it, because you know what, we have to be before this judge on other cases too, so. But anyhow, we were able to resolve it, and, you know, nobody was happy with whatever the result was. I can't recall off the top of my head. I think we sold the chair. I think because nobody was gonna,
Alright.
no, both wanted it, we just sold it.
Huh?
Yep, we just sold it and
Interesting.
split it, which nobody got the chair.
Nobody got the chair. Well, I think if you decide to let go of the small things and look at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
I think that the chair, the microwave, all these things, they just don't matter. If you think about whether you have kids,
Right,
your own
we've
personal
talked about that.
well-being.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how people will fight over the smallest things.
yes. So let's give them some tips.
Okay, let's give them some
Right?
tips, yes. Okay, ask yourself, like you said earlier, will this issue matter in 3 to 5 years? Will
Right.
it really become a part of you? Is this, the couch gonna even matter to you in 5 years?
Right.
You know, I keep using the couch because that's something that can probably relate to furniture or things that you have to have.
But I would suggest that our listeners write down the issues
Good
and
idea.
do the exercise of writing down 5, you know, let's put 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then put down, will it matter in? And then answer the question, and if the answer is yes, or the answer is no, write down your answer why.
Or the why.
Even if the answer is no, because I think it helps to get clarity on why something isn't important. So when you look at the other issues, you can have that you start to train your thinking brain. Oh, I'm thinking from a place of logic, right?
Balance, yeah.
I'm getting my brain to move from that primitive, I've got to have this, to that thinking brain. So it's an exercise in thought work, which is, you know, remember, a circumstance creates your thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So let's talk about this. Can we take a moment and do
Absolutely,
a model
this is
on
important, sure, of course.
So the circumstance would be the couch.
Right,
Put anything you want into that line.
circumstance.
The circumstance is something that you and your soon-to-be ex have not agreed to. So maybe it's custody arrangement. Maybe it's a couch. Now, what happens?
You think about it.
You have a thought
You have a
about
thought
it.
about it.
So the thought is about, we have a battle over who's gonna get the couch, right? Again, put whatever you want in there. And your thought is what? Your thought might be something like, you know what? I deserve this couch. I bought it. I picked it out. I'm the one that cleaned it every week. Okay? He never took care of it. He doesn't even like purple. It's a purple couch. And
She can have it.
and he, you know, is just doing this to spite me. Okay, so let's just say that the thought that you choose for the model is, he just wants this couch to spite me.
Yeah.
Okay, now what happens? What's
Well,
the next thing?
you're gonna have a certain feeling, you're gonna have an emotion that comes with that thought.
So what would emotion might somebody have
Anger.
if they have the thought, he just wants this couch to spite me?
Yeah, it's definitely anger.
Okay.
I'm angry about it.
Okay, so when now you have the circumstances, the couch, the thought is, he only wants this because I do, to spite me. Your feeling is anger. The next part in the model is what?
Your actions.
Okay.
Your actions are gonna probably to fight back because you're not only angry, but you're angry at him wanting the couch.
Correct.
So you're gonna want it even more now because you feel you're right, and I bought it and I picked it out and everything. So, you
So
know, your
the
actions are gonna be
action-
to fight back.
Right, and probably say something like all the things. You only want this couch because of da 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 da.
Yes.
And then what's the next part of it? The result.
The result.
So we have the circumstance, the thought, the feeling, the action, and the result in that is probably what?
It's gonna be the same as the circumstance. You're
No,
fighting
the
over the
same as
couch.
the same as the thought.
Right.
Right.
You're fighting over the couch.
Right. No, the result
Right.
is the same as the thought. The thought was he only wants this to spite me. Okay?
Right.
The result is that you and he are further apart. You're more aggravated with each other. You have more spite against each other. So it just builds that wedge between the two of you,
Right.
which is the thought, he's doing this to spite me, to hurt me. And your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions are all now buying into that result, building more distance between you, right?
Right. And the battle continues.
Now, I hope that's clear because we haven't gone through the model in one of our episodes in a while. So you should go back and listen to one of our episodes on the model. In our show notes, Jeff, we can put that down there.
Absolutely, and
Okay,
the
so-
description I will.
We can put that down there, but you'll understand more. Now, let's do a different thought model, okay?
Let's
The
do an
cal-
intentional.
Intentional thought
Yeah.
map. This is where we go from the primitive brain to the prefrontal cortex. The thought is the same thought.
Same
Same thought.
circumstance. Same
I mean,
circumstance.
The circumstance, right. The circumstance is, you're right, the circumstance is he wants the couch, I want the couch.
Right.
Okay? The thought that you had was only wants this to spite me. Okay? Now, this is where all the beauty lives. What could possibly be a different thought?
Well, the thought
That
could,
would serve you.
yes, the thought could be he can have the damn couch. I'm going to get a nicer couch.
Correct. That would be a great thought.
Sure.
Or I never liked that couch
I
anyhow.
like the couch anyway. It's got rips in it and
And it's
everything.
purple.
It's old.
And it's purple.
It's purple.
I don't know what I was thinking when I bought that purple couch. I probably bought that purple couch at that time because I knew he didn't like
I'll
purple.
pay him to take it.
All right, but no, seriously. So if the thought is now a new
Yes.
thought,
Then the thought now is he can have it.
he can have the couch.
Yes.
Now what is the feeling?
The feeling is relief
Right.
that we're not fighting over the couch
Right.
anymore, and he can have it.
And it might be a little bit of like, he won the couch battle, right? But you're smarter than that
Right.
because you have a strategy in place and you're gonna pick your battles.
Right.
So your thought might be, yeah, he's still, he's playing this game, he wants everything, but I have a bigger battle in mind.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna be strategic and smart here.
Well, it's almost like the old saying, he may have won the battle, but I'm going to win the war.
Right.
In other words, it's such a minor thing that in the big picture, you're the winner because you took the high road.
Well, winning the war is more important than the battle,
Exactly.
the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so now when you have this thought he can have it, I don't like it anyhow, I'm thinking about bigger issues, I'm putting my energy into bigger thoughts, bigger future. Now what is your action?
Well, my action is to probably let him have it
Correct?
and start looking for a new couch.
Right? And the
Yeah.
result is?
The result is there's no more battle.
The result is also that you're starting to move into a place with your ex where you're settling your issues.
Right.
Even if it's something as silly as the purple couch.
And you know
Right.
what? The other thing is,
Did you
I
hear-
agree with you. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You're moving into settlement. You're moving into healing, but you're also knowing that you took the higher road. That is a big a sense of empowerment as well.
Correct.
The word I was going to think. It definitely empowers
Right.
you that you took the power to win the battle.
Correct.
Even
Got the
not necessarily
bigger
winning the battle,
picture.
but giving in the battle. Yeah.
So I think doing the exercise, I like to do the 3 to 5 to 10 years. Will this really matter to me, to my life, to my kids, to my future, to my happiness, to my energy level? You could put all the reasons why in 3, 5, 10 years and you write this out. It's very helpful. The next thing is, and we kind of are saying it, is what?
Focus on the big picture.
Right,
Yeah.
focus on the bigger picture.
I love the habit and the 7 habits of beginning with the end in mind.
Correct.
So if you're thinking about the end and you're beginning with that end, then you become more strategic.
Yes, 100%. It's hard to be strategic when you're going through divorce. I'm gonna tell people right now, it's just hard. Because again, that primitive brain, that reactive mindset is there to fight, to protect yourself, you're scared, there's so much going on, but looking at that bigger picture, what does this really matter to me? How does this really affect my life?
May
The
I make a
ultimate goal?
suggestion?
Yeah.
Listen
important.
to your attorney.
Well, we're not there yet.
I know, but what I'm saying is when you're being strategic, okay, and if you're thinking about the big picture and you've come up with a plan, make sure you're focusing on that big picture with your attorney as well.
Well, that was something else I wanted to mention,
Okay,
but
we can wait.
you wanna jump there?
No, I want to wait.
No?
Okay.
We're done with, we're done with looking at the next one, this one, which was the ultimate goal. So
The
now we're
ultimate
gonna
goal.
move into the attorney's advice. Here's something I
Yeah.
battle with all the time with not battle. That's just a word we're using right now, but, we have, challenging conversations with clients about what you're entitled to as a matter of law versus what you're entitled to, let's say, as a matter of what's right, okay?
Okay.
And the law and what you believe is right is not necessarily aligned. Okay, I'll give you an example. You worked really hard during the marriage. You built your career. You were very responsible financially. You did all the things that you're supposed to do. You followed the advice, you saved, you didn't rack up credit card debt, etc. Your spouse is financially careless. He or she just doesn't save money, racks up credit card debts. It's been a contention of an issue in your marriage for a long time, right? So,
Well, the example would be that to you that might have a little bit of what's the word?
so
You're feeling a little. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you're feeling a little bit uneven and in no balance with. I'm trying to think of the word that you're.
Well, I'm going to explain it. Okay.
Go ahead.
So
The word will come to me.
I'm setting up the scenario. So the scenario is that you have one person that was financially responsible, one not so much.
Right.
Now in Florida and in many states, title doesn't matter. So whatever the assets are, whatever the savings were, whatever the retirements, and whatever the debt is, no matter how it's titled, it's all considered part of the marital pot. Divorce is happening, and the person that was financially responsible says, you know what, I shouldn't be responsible for all this debt. I didn't rack this up. I wasn't even aware of it. Okay, now there might be some legal wiggle room there, but let's assume.
Right.
I wasn't really paying attention. Yes, I know, I had access to the account, but I never really looked at it. I trusted him or her. And now, why should I be responsible for half this debt? It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
And you know what? For many people out there that are listening to this, they'd say, you know what? That's true. It's not fair. But legally in Florida, it's the law that no matter how it's titled, it's considered a marital debt. And so it's subject to a 50-50 split. That doesn't sit well with people.
Yeah.
I understand that. That's just one example, of course. But listen to your lawyer to pick your battles. Because if your lawyer is telling you legally you don't have any grounds to move forward on it, then don't battle it. It's a battle you're going to lose. And you can't think that your lawyer is going to go into a mediation or settlement conference and be able to somehow get the other side to agree that he's gonna take on all the debt, for an example, because the other side knows also legally that you gotta pay half of it. You see what I'm saying? And so it may sound fair, it may sound right, but legally it's not gonna fly. And it's hard to hear those things. But you gotta pick that battle. You gotta know this is not a battle
You're not a battle you're gonna win.
You gotta pick that battle, meaning not pick that one, right?
Right.
Okay, and then put that battle aside and put that energy somewhere else and just chalk it up. Chalk it up for experience, chalk it up for next time I won't do this, chalk it up for maybe I wanna have a prenup next time where all the debt and all the liability, no matter how it's titled, it's gonna be mine is mine, yours is yours, joint account, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it, just as a learning experience.
Right.
Okay,
All right.
the next one
And
is.
I think the last thing that we're talking about is your well-being, your self-well-being.
Right,
The fighting is so draining on your emotional being and weighs so heavy on your shoulders that the decision not to battle over something is I'll have you take the higher road, like I said earlier, and give you that empowerment feeling. But you have to kind of consider you don't have to, but you should consider your mental health.
right, so is that the next thing that you wanna give advice on?
Yeah.
Is think about the battle also is the time and energy you're gonna put into something, the cost benefit, right? Because your emotional health, your children's emotional health, moving on with your life does have a price to it, right? It does have value in it. And so it's not just picking battles that financially make sense, right? It's also picking battles that make sense to your overall health, including your emotional health.
Right.
You may get an extra few bucks, fight for support, for example. Hey, fighting for an extra couple $100 a month, just a lot of people may make, or thousands even, may make a big difference in their life. But think about that as to also like, if it's a couple $100, is it really worth it, right? Is it really worth it? Or do I just chalk it up? I've done the best I can and move on.
Yeah, I mean, you're going through a challenging time, and we know that. And I think that when you decide to take the higher road and you say, no, my health is more important, and that's when you start choosing. I mean, the choosing is an important part of the subject because it's up to you, it's your choice. So you're choosing which battle to fight for.
Correct.
And not everything is a fight. You don't have to fight just for the sake of fighting.
No. Let me just say one other thing and then we can close it out, is that there are battles that are worth fighting in divorce, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We're not suggesting that you concede to everything. No, you shouldn't. There are battles worth fighting. If, and you gotta know what that is by knowing your legal rights. What is it gonna cost me to go to trial, both money-wise and emotionally, right? But there are battles that you have to take the odds on, and sometimes you just can't settle them and you go to court. I've had cases where many millions of dollars are at stake. Let's say the value of a business, and one expert says the value is $1 million, and the other expert who's gonna come in and testify says it's worth $2 million. Well, probably worth fighting that battle, right?
Yeah.
Because $1 million swing, 500 in each party's pocket or not, depending on which value, makes a huge difference, and the cost of the trial costs a lot less typically than that. So it would make sense. Just make sure that you understand legally, do I really have a good chance to win this? And that's a conversation you should have with your lawyer. But assuming that everything is in check, the expert's advice, their evaluation is correct, and you understand what it takes to get to trial, then you take those battles.
Yeah. I also think that putting it in a judge's hands, you're not sure which way he's going to decide.
Sure you are.
And maybe how.
Well, from your lawyer, not in that example,
Yeah.
but the two experts and a business being valued where one expert says $1 million, one expert says 2 million, no one knows which expert's opinion the court's gonna take.
Yeah, well, I meant more in general, when you're choosing a battle over something, you're putting it in somebody else's hands to make a decision versus trying to work it out for yourself.
Well, that's another issue, yes. Right. And think about that, because also, and I know that this episode might be a little convoluted, so please always just reach out to us. You need clarity on this. We touched on something that's kind of resonating with you, but you need a little more. Come and talk to me. I'm a Florida divorce attorney at Yaffa Family Law Group. You can find us and you can come have a consultation. If it's about the coaching aspect and the emotional aspect of it, Jeff really does more of the coaching, right? So I understand this is a little convoluted, but yeah. What was the point you were trying to make?
Well, that, I think that when you have the choice to choose your battles, then it's still your choice.
Right.
When you hand it over to the judge, you're
Right.
losing your choose.
100%.
You're losing your choose.
100%.
Your choice.
Sometimes you've taken it as far as you can, like with the valuation of the businesses.
Right.
There's nothing more you can do. You're at a deadlock.
Yeah.
You've tried splitting the difference with the other side. They're not buying on it. You go to court on those things.
Right.
But think about it also is that the judges are limited on what they can do within the scope of the law.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have wiggle room. They can't be creative with taxes and how you're gonna finagle, you know, that's just one example, but how you're gonna finagle the settlement so that it is advantageous to both parties even. They can't do that many times. So if you can resolve issues and be creative, you can actually be in alignment with your soon-to-be ex that's gonna save everyone money.
Everyone. And
Everyone.
benefit both sides.
Benefit everyone and put more money in your pocket and less, you know, to the government and less to the lawyers. So that's a beautiful thing as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's it.
Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Life After Divorce Coaching. And I hope today's conversation resonated with you and you have a little bit more clarity over your mindset when you're choosing your battles. And remember, you're not alone. You're not
No.
alone. There's always support when you need it.
Yes, there is. All right, everybody, have
All right.
an amazing week and we'll talk to you in a few.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for more empowering content, tips, and inspiration to help you thrive after divorce. And if you're ready to take the next step in your journey, don't miss out on our free 30-minute coaching session. It's a great opportunity to get personalized guidance and support for wherever you are in your divorce journey. Just visit the link in our description to book your appointment.